Hi, my name is Sang Yoon and Di Huang. I'm going to talk about South Korea versus Germany, the biggest upset in World Cup 2018, as final project in DATA608, Master of Science in City University of New York. Why it is important? South Korea versus Germany match during 2018 World Cup is arguably one of the biggest upsets in World Cup history. Examining how South Korea won statistically is worth investigating. Each visualization and pivot table statistics reveals how making the upset was possible, and one can refer this analysis as a guideline when it comes to preparing the match against big teams. Data source is coming from StatsBomb. So StatsBomb is basically open data source, and the data sets are in JSON format. JSON library, NumPy, Matplotlib, and Pandas, and also JSON normalized, which is coming from Panda, and Seaborn, and URL lib, which is being used to extract JSON file to create a data frame from dictionary. And this is the information of all the players in South Korea and also Germany. So you can actually get all this information from this table. So now finally I got the event data, which is basically the information that I used in order to create heat map or gore map or dash visualizations and pivot tables. I created the pivot table for past statistics first, and the period 1 indicates that the first half, and second half is basically period 2. So you have 3 different pass types: the ground pass, and high pass, and low pass. Each pass attempts by each player. So for instance, this Mesut Ozil, he made 35 attempts, the ground pass attempts in the first half. And also, I also got the proportion of each pass for German players and South Korean players. And this is one of the examples that I have for German players, for instance. So for German players, I have all the statistics. So for example, Marco Reus, 82% of his total pass in first half belongs to ground pass, for instance. So you can, and for Koreans, most likely it's also ground pass, but what's interesting is that Koreans on average have higher proportion devotion rate to pass for high and low passes than Germans. So what does this really tell you? Koreans play the typical defensive counter-attack style, whereas Germans play the typical offensive possessive style. And let's now look at the bar graphs to see over pass distribution by player for each period. So here I have used the pass statistics as a data frame. And so notably, let's say if you go to Germany, usually Tony Kroos, he devoted most of his time to create, let's say, a ground passes. So in first half, he made 44 attempts for ground passing and 51 attempts for ground pass as well. So let's now examine shot statistics. Again, similarly, I got all this count. Now you have blocked and shots that led to goal, and off the target, saved and waived. We know Korean players had less players involved with the shots, but scored twice, nevertheless. So Youngwon Kim, for example, had only one shot and it led to goal. Let's see. So similarly, you have all these different types of shots, and you can also select Germany as well. And what's interesting is that, for instance, Toni Kroos, most of his shots were, let's say, off the target, which is very disappointing. Especially the Timo Werner, which is like a striker. Look at this. Two of them were off the target, and one of them were blocked. But if you look at it this way, in the second half, he made only 2 attempts, but all of them were off the target, which is very, very disappointing. He was a striker. So I created the function called draw pitch, and you have a variable called AX. So basically, you have this how can I say, so you have this pitch map, and then you draw it on this Python, and then you show it with the matplotlib. So basically, this is something interesting because it shows you that this type of graph is also possible in matplotlib, which is pretty fantastic. And just to give you the sample of this the graph, I chose Toni Kroos. Toni Kroos is basically he had the largest number of passing. So, and you can annotate pass annotations of Toni on page. So this is basically the annotation of his pass movement. So all of these are actually the direction of his passing. Ran around this area, which is like a sort of like a not near the penalty line, but almost always in the midfield. And let's combine all 3 pitch, annotation, and hit map, and grab it in one shot. There you go. This is very beautiful. And we have pitch shot goal map as well. As you can see, the dots, and the blue dots indicates shots by Germany, and green shots indicates shots by South Korea. And the red ones are goals. And analysis on pass map and goal map. What can we learn from this? We know Korean players had less shots for sure, but Son played mostly either left or right in each period, which is interesting, but there's no evidence that this led to win. However, given the Koreans mostly played very defensively, lots of back passes, and some of the key players mostly stayed in the middle, except for Son, we can conclude that defensive play with Son taking the offensive role possibly could be the only could be the key reason for winning. So long story short, play defensively with cleaner striker if you want to win big team. Thank you for your time, and hope you enjoyed this video.